Hey everyone, it's your favorite host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have a very special guest coming here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage today. She is Maureen Pound. She's committed to supporting men with dating, sex, and relationships and money. She's here today spilling the tea and pulling back the layers. And she found herself, after 7 years of no sex, she found herself reinventing the wheel and having pity on us men, and giving back and supporting and sharing, and now writing the book How to Get Laid on Tinder. And she's here today speaking on the topics that matter most to men, and she's actually here to help us do better and help us peel back those layers that so many men and women struggle with in the dating scene. So without further ado, help me welcome to the stage the incredible Miss Maureen Pound, coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. How are you, Miss Pound? How are you? How are you? Thank you for being here.
Yes, I'm fabulous. Thank you.
You look great. Love the glasses. Love the glasses. Looking very stellar. And I appreciate you. Miss Pound, I know I talked about it and I mentioned it in my intro of you, but can you give us some more context of that story? You were just, what was it? You were just working and working and forgot that, hey, I'm not intimate with anyone. I haven't had a relationship in a minute. What happened? You went 7 years, no sex. What can you give us some insight on that?
Sure. So, in my late 30s, I'd been dating a bit, and then I was looking for someone to marry, a wonderful man, but my biological clock was ticking, and there was a bit of pressure, and it didn't happen. I couldn't find a bloke to marry me. So I ended up having anonymous sperm donor children on my own. I had 2 children. I started at 40. And so the basic answer, Marcus, is I was freaking exhausted. So I was earning the money and looking after the children, and so I was pretty exhausted. And then once the second one went to school, that's when I went, I think I'm missing something.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that makes absolutely sense. Are there other women that have found themselves in similar situations, or, is rare? Is that a rarity? What happened to you?
I think a lot of women find themselves in these situations. And I think some men too go for
Mm.
extended periods without sex. It's just not something that we talk about openly.
Absolutely.
Like, you're not going
Absolutely.
to go, hey, I haven't been laid in ages.
But and that's true. But you venture into spaces that most women fear. Most women don't like online dating. They don't like online connection. They want the traditional connection. I want to meet someone very organically, very, I want to be a princess and he needs to fight the dragon to come get me. How is
Yeah.
it that you were able to push past that obscurity and venture into online dating when most women would prefer natural and traditional methods?
I just think that times have changed, and we still want someone to fight for us. But just like anything, a dating app is the first step, and they can still fight for you. But you can't go into the office and meet guys anymore because a lot of people work from home.
Mm.
Even the local, when I was young, there was a local church group. And these things, sort of like a youth group. These things don't exist as much anymore. So uh, the stats are quite high in terms of modern dating and how many people actually do meet through Tinder. So I was very apprehensive at first, and I was doing this charity bike ride in Thailand, and this is when I still hadn't had sex for 7 years. And I didn't have the kids with me. It was over 5 days. And I met these guys on the bike ride, and they were flirting with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this hasn't happened in a while. Oh, this is quite good. And then I confided in them, and I said, I haven't been laid. And they're like, they nearly fell off their bikes. And like, they were all married and partnered, just really nice guys. And they are the ones who said, you've got to get on Tinder. And I'm like, oh, it's all too scary. So over dinner that night, they showed me, and I went, oh, I'm just not sure. But I just went home and decided to give it a go. And in fact, they said to me, because we had this group chat, we're all business people doing this bike ride together. We had this group chat, and one of the guys said, when you get home and you get yourself laid, Maureen, just put a tick in the group chat and we'll know.
So game
Yeah,
on.
game on.
Okay.
I came back, got my hair done, took I thought was a pretty cute photo. And I'm like, am I going to be rejected? Like, what's this going to be like? And yeah, I got a bit of attention and, a few matches. And I think I got myself laid within 3 days.
3 days.
Tick, tick.
That was that is incredible. So what was the message? What should be the messages? What messages stood out to women that a guy is it the
Yeah.
unsolicited dick pic? Is that what sets a girl
Um,
on fire, or is it
yeah. So I've had some interesting conversations about this. I've even done a TikTok on it. I'm sick of people bagging dick pics. They have their place. Guys are pretty simple. Like, if they never got good responses from it, they'd never do it. So, but it's how they do it. Sometimes guys don't warm girls up. They don't ask for permission. Like it's in the wrong context where it can be taken really badly. Research has also shown that a lot of marriages sending dick pics, graphic stuff, or having sexting is actually really healthy, especially if you're apart a lot. So it can be really good. But back to your comment about the messages, what guys don't get quite right, and they have to because it's a numbers game. There's like at least 70% of the people on Tinder are men. So, the numbers are stacked against them. They have to cut through the noise. And a lot of women will get the first message, hey, hi, how are you? And you've got like 10 of them in your inbox. Why would you, it doesn't stand out. So that's one tip. Just have anything that's a bit of a cut through rather than hey and hi. Like one guy wrote, happy hump day. It was a Wednesday. And that was even a little bit different, a little bit of energy. It doesn't have to be, mind-blowing message, but just something a bit different. A good way to do it is actually read the female's profile and choose something. Now, my friend does CrossFit. She's really strong. She's obese, but she's strong, right? And so she loves it when guys say something like, oh, I love your CrossFit photo. How strong are you? Very simple. Do you think that's going to cut through? Hell yeah.
absolutely?
So, and the other thing that we get a lot is, hey, sexy. And it's like, you feel like there's nothing personal about it. They probably say sexy to every single person. So if you can actually say something to the woman about more than their looks, I think it's a real good cut through opening message.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about, so your friend is a big CrossFit, very strong, very athletic. What about a challenge? Is that sexy or appealing to a woman? Hey, I bet you I could lift more than you, or how much do you lift, girl? A challenge. So if again you're bike riding, you were riding a bike, that's how you and your friends were talking about it and even got invited you onto Tinder. So what about that challenge per se? That kind of cuts through the fluff of hi, how are you? It's I bet you I can ride longer, faster than you can. Or is that not
Nah,
appealing?
no, I reckon, Marcus, that's more of a guy thing.
Yeah. Too
Maybe if you're
masculine.
on one of the gay ones where you're looking for a guy looking for a guy, that might work. Because men are like physically stronger generally anyway, and it's trying to big note. So yeah, so I wouldn't do that. I'd go more with the compliment or the not even just an acknowledgement that woman is doing that thing. We want to be seen for more than just how we look. It's complicated because we still want to be seen as beautiful, but can you please see more than that? Even if you just want to get laid, still see me for more than how I look.
Okay, so when should a guy bring up? Okay, so great. I've sent the great message that cut through the fluff. I've cut through all the fluff. I've gotten through all the other competition, and now we've been talking. How long is a good amount of time to be courting you before I invite you out? Should I invite you out on Tinder on and right away, or should I wait a little bit? Should I work it up a little bit?
So that's a great question. it's somewhere in between. So, and I've spoken to a lot of men about this, and I've researched and looked at the various messages and the various ways they've done it. So, my recommendation is to get the woman off the app. So, you can get her off the app by having a phone call with her, which is what my CrossFitter friend likes, because she really feels like she can tell a lot from a guy from how he speaks. You can get them onto another app like WhatsApp or Snap, depending on your age group, or you could get her on the phone. So what that does is, on a whim, sometimes people aren't feeling the energy and they disconnect, and unmatch, and so you lose the match. So if you can get them off onto another app or on the phone, then I think you've got a way to continue to communicate with them. And back to the question about how long, I wouldn't, back and forth, no. A couple of messages, a bit of banter, and then get it to the next stage. If you want to, just say you want just to get laid, then what I would do is put a little bit of innuendo, not the first message, but just a little bit of innuendo, and then see if she takes the bait. If she says in her bio that she's not into, she's looking for a partner, then I wouldn't do that as much. So so get them off the app as soon as possible.
So wait, isn't that if a woman puts on her profile she's not looking for relationships, isn't that a hint from the woman's side saying, "Hey, I'm just
Oh,
looking to get laid"?
sorry, the other way around. If she says
Okay.
she wants a relationship, good. Yeah. And look, sometimes you can, because people might find you attractive enough and be willing to have some fun or whatever. But generally speaking, I think if she's really adamant about it and it's written in black and white on her profile, then don't try it on when she said she wants a relationship if all you want is fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the other thing about men is, through my research as well, is everyone says they're after one thing, and they are. You know what they're after? A relationship. At some
Men.
stage, they can play around for as long as that, but at some stage they want a woman or a man or whatever, but at some stage they want that, but they're happy to have a fun along the way, and that's the way I see it. And I don't give men a hard time for that. They're human, and that's fine as long as they're not disrespectful. Then that's cool. But I find that quite interesting. You hardly see any older men on their own. That's not their preferred state. They usually like a partner.
Absolutely. No one wants to be alone. Absolutely. Your
Yeah,
research is very on point. No one wants to be by themselves. So that's
yeah.
very, very powerful. Miss Maureen Pound. I want to ask. We talked about what is a great message, what is a good icebreaker. Now, and you're saying, if you want, if intimacy is all you want, right? Give the hints and see if she picks up on it. If not, keep it moving. But I think everybody fears rejection, right? Especially men, because we're viewed as the one to be the chaser and be primal and drag it back to the cave and whatever. Right? So
Yeah.
what do you say to the men that out there who are fearful of approaching, right? They saw your profile, right? Because you said you just got your hair done, you took some really good photos and you put them up there. But that can be intimidating to see a lovely woman on Tinder that is bike riding, she's active, she's outdoorsy. Do you have animals? You may have a pet out there. That could be intimidating to see you. So what advice would you say to that guy who's fearful of rejection?
You're not at high school anymore. You're not competing against those buff boys in the football or baseball team. You have this amazing opportunity to connect with someone one-on-one. You can't even see your competition. How good is that? And like anything that you want in life, you've got to put in some work. So if you get rejected a few times and go, oh my God, this is shit, women are terrible, oh, they never match with me, woe is me, then I think you're giving up too early. But in saying that, if you're, like we all go up and down, with our emotions, women and men. And if you're feeling a bit low, I wouldn't recommend you go on the apps because you want to get a dopamine hit of getting a match, but you behave differently to when you're feeling on fire and really confident. And that goes for women as well. So I would really recommend doing it when you're feeling good, and then it's just move on. I don't even like the term ghosting. Someone hasn't ghosted you. They're not feeling the energy. It doesn't feel right, and they've unmatched. Like, so what? Like, it's a numbers game. Life is a numbers game. Um, and all those stereotypical things, like, and I know it's a bit tricky with height online, but I walk around where I live. There's heaps of short dudes. They're beautiful, and they've got beautiful women by them sides. Sometimes the women are taller. So don't get caught up on what you hear in the media, the stereotypes. If a woman's so caught up on height that she won't even match with you, then that's her problem.
So short men, there's hope. There's hope for us, right?
There's hope. Yeah. And like one guy I went out with was 5'5". Anyway, I don't know what that is in centimeters, but it's pretty darn short, right?
Right.
And he was masterful because he was a really good communicator. We had a chat on the phone, and I was going to go around to his place. And just before he hung up, like, I got really excited. He sounded lovely. He was, really interested and interesting. And then he said, "Oh, by the way, how tall are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm 5'4". He goes, "Oh, cool, I'm 5'5". Well, I'll see you soon. Like, he'd sort of mentioned it right. And I'm like, "Oh, well, that doesn't matter. Cool. Like, I'm already like him, so it doesn't matter."
You didn't feel deceived or that he tricked you?
No, because I could have had the choice then not to see him. Yeah, no, I
Right.
didn't at all. I thought it was quite um, clever considering how much rejection he'd get from being that short.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
That makes perfect sense. I've been stalking you on your TikTok, and you are one of your topics was how you became a millionaire through real estate and property management. And so again, I push back on say, right, what some would deem you as a high value woman. So how can I in this age of the high value woman, high value dating, how to attract and keep a high caliber partner such as yourself, or for flip side, how can men attract high value women like yourself? Because I can't come to you with money because that's not a thing for you, right? And
Yeah.
so what would you say to the men seeking to connect with someone like yourself?
I think ultimately, women want, it's not the money, and that's, again, there's this stereotype. Oh, they're gold diggers. They just want the money. Most women want to feel looked after and supported, and have men who are going for it in life, whatever that looks like. So, you think of people like, Michelle and Barack Obama. He didn't have money when they met, when they started going out. He didn't have, like, he had education, but um, he had charisma, and he was funny, and he was going places. So, and going places looks different for different people, but I think that's what women want. They want someone who's going for it in life, living their best life, and that will be a supportive person.
Absolutely. So there's still so money doesn't matter to in dating, you're saying. It doesn't matter to some women that, hey, I have money. As long as you're doing something, as long as you're achieving something, money isn't necessarily an issue.
Well, it's like, it's for some people, it might be. I've got friends and they are married, and she's an engineer, and was earning a lot more money, and he was trying to make it in the software world, doing, and for like 6 years they went and lived with her parents, with 3 kids, and they had to sell a house, and they're there, and he's trying to make this business work, like, and he ended up, he did, and like, it took a lot of years. So it's like, again, that's an example of her loving him for giving it a go, and believing in him, and I think that's what men want as well. So sure, it's nice to have that security, but I think if men are putting in the work, they've got a good job, they're got a good attitude, then I think that that's what it's about for a lot of women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it. So the guy has taken you out. He's taking on a first date. Should he text you immediately after? I'm coming back to it. Should he text you immediately after the first date, or should I wait a little bit, let it linger, let the date sink in a little bit?
So, traditionalists would say, you wait the whole 3-day rule, all of that sort of stuff. What I think is a really good in between is to, uh, especially if the guy wants certainty, like he doesn't know how it went, is she into me or not? So he could send a message like, um, it was great meeting you. I had a lot of fun. That's it. Right. So he can send that message an hour later or 2 hours later, and then she'll go, cool, he's into me. Right. So she'll get that certainty. And then if she's into him big time, she'll probably won't be able to resist writing back. If she's not, then, she might write a polite text an hour later, a couple of hours later, or it's just there's nothing there. But if she's really into him, she'll often write back and start up the conversation. So I think it's not such a bad thing. At least you really know where you stand. Because if the woman is into you, doing that is not going to ruin things.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
just go with it. And then what I think guys who've done it well, they've done that. I wrote, playing it a little bit cool and write something nice back, but we don't have any more banter. And then I would be waiting for him for a few days later to then instigate taking me out again.
And you don't like that? You don't?
No, that's what I want. Yeah.
You do want that?
Yeah, of course I do. He's still got to take the lead.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm just getting clarity.
Yeah. So that formula is you can do it straight after. Hey, I had a great time. Right. That's your message. See what you get back from her. Go with the energy. If it starts the banter up and it's on like Donkey Kong and you're seeing each other the next day, well, that's great. If she just sends something nice and friendly, and you're like, oh yeah, I think she's into me, then and you're still into her, then I would wait a few days and ask her out again.
Absolutely. I enjoy these conversations, especially around dating, because dating has seemed to get very difficult. We're not making good connections, we're not making long lasting connections, and it seems to get harder and harder. Now the new age thing is the age gap. Does it matter? Does it matter if someone's older, someone's younger? Should we be close in age? What have you seen that matters when it comes to dating and the age gap?
So I think you go back to the Graduate, Mrs. Robinson, like since the beginning of time, there's a pocket of men who like older women. So I think that's true, and I think there's the older men who like younger women. Like people like what they like, and that's all well and good. I think men are very practical. So if they, for instance, they might date some older women, but if they want to have children, and they're in their 30s, then they'll find someone more age appropriate so that they can have a family. So I think people should not worry about what other people think of them. They should, live their lives and be kind and loving and respectful and, date whoever the hell they want. But I do think men are very practical, and the person that they end up being with will be someone that, they see building a life with.
Absolutely. That's Maureen. Spilling it to you. I love this. You've talked about dating. We've touched on age gap. We've touched on so many great topics. Men courting, the first message. How soon should I message? Should I delay it, or should I message right away? And I want to touch on cost of impressing a woman. Right? Is there a number that you write about in your book? Should I spend exorbitant amounts of money? Should I not spend so much money on the girl that I'm interested in? When does money come into factor? Should I wait till a first couple of days? I've heard this rule, right? Some women won't sleep with a guy until he spent a certain amount of money. And then the other side is, Some women don't care about the money. It's all about the experience and the vibe and the connection. So if it's a picnic on the beach, that's all, and I'm really enjoying it, then that's what matters. But what give some advice for men? Which one is it?
So I think that men should not get hung up on the whole money thing again. So choose, and sometimes you're skint. Like we've all been, in times in our life where we haven't had a lot of money anyway. I had a mate of mine, my personal trainer, who's like, I'm sick of going out and spending all this money on the first dates. So if that's your case, and he's like, I'm skint here. So you can organise. I love the picnic on the beach idea. I've played tennis. We have gone for a walk along the river. I do lots of walking dates. So that sort of, or a coffee. But what I would say, it's not about buying the gifts or anything like that. I think if you take her out, if you've invited her for dinner or lunch or a coffee, you pay. You offer to pay. So in my book as well, I was written the different scenarios. So one way to pay is she goes off to the ladies' room and you just get it done. That's cool. Another way is the bill comes and you say, I've got this. And she'll say something like either, oh, thank you, which is great, you're done. Or she'll say, are you sure? And then you say, yes, and then you pay. Now, if you get a woman who says, no, I want to pay, or they're really, really adamant, or they want to split it, or they're like really forceful, then you let her do whatever. She wants to assert herself in that way, that's cool. But generally speaking, they're the sort of formulas that I'd use. You offer, she pushes back once, you just say it's okay and you pay. If she pushes back any more than that, then you split it or you let her pay or whatever. So that's around the practicalities of it. In terms of the buying stuff, I think it's BS, especially really early on in a relationship.
You think so?
Yeah, I think until you're exclusive, until I'm just not into it. And I think there's too much pressure on men. If you really feel like it and you really want to do it, then that's fine. But it also, it's like I think there's so much more important stuff to focus on.
Are you turned off by a guy if you paid for the date?
Yes. I remember
You,
years ago,
you
I said to my dad, this guy invited me to the rugby.
Mhm.
It's like a sporting match as
Uh-huh.
a third date or something. And it's, of course, I'm not going because I want to go to the rugby. I'm going because I want to please him and spend time with him. And then I remember we got to the place to pay, and he just bought his one ticket, and I was behind him, and then I had to buy my one ticket. It was like bullshit. I went home and told my dad, and my dad's like, "Nah, that's it. Get rid of him."
Uh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And so it's funny. It's a funny scenario because I've heard both sides. I've heard, hey, it's a date. I don't know from the men. I don't know you yet to spend the money, right? I'm getting to know you. And so, but here it is, right? You said it. That it's a turnoff if the man doesn't pay.
yeah.
And that scenario, was that the first date or was that a
Like, after a few dates and, then sure, often I'll go, look, I'll get it, like then it becomes a more of an equal thing. Although I had a boyfriend, went out for quite, like, I don't know, 6 months or whatever, and it was just his thing. He was doing well, he was a banker, he loved going out to restaurants, and I loved being looked after, and that was his thing. He would um pay all the time, and let me tell you, he got looked after too.
absolutely?
um, so do you know what I mean? Like it's a bit it's there's not an exact science, but I remember there was an episode of Dr. Phil, and no, not Dr. Phil. Who's the other guy? Oh my gosh! Anyway, he's an American guy, and they ask, oh, Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and they and he's just like he's big one for like the man pays, and then they interviewed the female audience, and 97% of them said the man should pay on the first date.
Why do you think that number is so high? Is it what you're saying? I want to be. You want to be taken care of. If
Yeah,
it,
of
it
course
get.
you do.
Mhm.
Did you are you married, Marcus?
I am not.
Oh, do you pay on the first date?
I do. So, but I've also not paid on the first date. And so I've also not paid on the first date. I always offer to pay,
Yeah.
simply because I'm a gentleman. But I know if there's going to be a second date or not, and I know when, and I am very exclusive when I invite someone out on a date. So I've in my lifetime, as a man, I've gone on very few dates because I'm selective. It's not I'm very picky with who I spend my time and my resources. One of the things that I discovered when I used to date was that I met a millionaire. This woman, she owned a tax business. She owned a trucking logistics business, owned a fleet of trucks. And it was strange to me because she is a millionaire 10 times over, and she seeks a provider. And that was weird to me because it's called a 1% for a reason. You're a part of very few people become millionaires. Very few people become billionaires. And so the expectation of her is, I want a man to take care of me. I want a man to provide for me. But you're a millionaire. There are very few men out there that can meet your financial obligations. And so when you said it earlier that money shouldn't be as big as what people make it seem, I agree with you. Because as a man, if you don't make as much money as me, should I not date you? Men don't think that way, but women somehow do. And that's strange. And that's
Yeah.
why I asked the question. It's weird because men don't do it. If men traditionally, if we go through history, men have always made more. Now, women are occupying positions of parliament. Women are succeeding. They're getting highly educated, and they're occupying positions that were primarily dominated by men, and that's a great thing. But to hold men to that standard when men don't do that is hard. That makes dating even more difficult, I feel, because men
Yeah.
don't have that standard. If I only dated women who made as much money as me, I would never date, because for the majority of my life, I have made more money than women. Just like how you said, I'm stronger, right? Men are naturally stronger. So should I not date a woman because she's not strong as me? That would be absurd. And so that's why I pose the question that way. It's
Yeah, and
interesting.
that's a great the way you've articulated that, I think, is great. What I want to know is, how much is this the media saying this, and how much is it the women?
Mhm.
Like, and what is a provider? You know, we're linking it with money all the time. Provider can mean so much other stuff. You know, there's the love and companionship and having your back. A woman wants a man to have her back, you
Absolutely.
know, to problem solve, you know, to be a good dad. All those things, I think, equate to a provider. And yeah, so I think you're right. I think it's evolving at the moment, especially as more women are becoming, more university educated than men. And a lot of that is because I used to be a teacher. Let me tell you, the schooling system
Really?
is skewed towards women much more than men, and that needs to change, but that's another podcast. So in a lot of ways, men are just trying to keep up in this way when it's not made for them. And I think that women do want a confident person who's going to look after them. I think that's and look after them emotionally as well. I think that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This next round, we're going to talk about intimacy and sex. But before we do, we gotta go to a quick commercial break, y'all. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new, that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Hey, boss. Heard you are an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, the normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from Everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain?
Yep.
You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with the exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does.
I'm Marcus Norman, bringing fresh vibes to hot topics surrounding culture, relationships, business, finance, sex, dating, faith, and everything in between. Whether you're into passive income opportunities, trending topics and useful relationship tips, or dynamic guest speakers, there's something for everyone. You can expect all that and more every week. If you're down with this content, then consider joining our growing community by subscribing to Gentleman Style Podcast and smash the bell to get on our VIP list. Your support means the world. Thanks for watching. Link to my channel.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and today we have the fabulous Miss Maureen Pound spilling the tea on dating. And her professional background and experience is helping men and women make the connection. She's peeling back layers. She's peeled back layers earlier, talking about why women should actually get on social media platforms and connect with great guys and meet great guys. One of the examples Miss Pound shared was Tinder. She's also talked about things that men can overdo to overcome fear and approach incredible women and meet high caliber women like Miss Maureen and others out there. And don't be afraid, guys. Don't be afraid of rejection. It's okay if you're short. And speaking of short, we are now going to talk about sex and bedroom play. What are some things, Miss Pound, men are missing the mark that women wish more men would know about bedroom experiences and intimacy and foreplay and sex? Can you share any tea on that?
Yeah, sure. I think what foreplay and what it looks like. So it starts so much more before getting into the bedroom or the actual sexual acts. You know, it's the physical touch and stroking her hair and paying attention and doing things for her and all that sort of stuff can get her really, really hot. So I think, and then also that lead up, you know, we know women often take longer to orgasm than men, and most women don't orgasm by vaginal orgasm. It's a clitoral orgasm. So spend time in that area. And the other things, you know, I hope I'm not too graphic. Use your fingers more and be gentle in that area. So it's like sometimes men are just okay, they're trying to be a good man. I want to make her come first. I want to look after her first. But and then they're just like getting on with it. Whereas it just take your time and get to know her body and how she's reacting and really enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. Can you share like 5 things men do wrong during sex? You touched on a couple. Clitoral stimulation is not just vaginal or penetration; it's actual clitoral stimulation. Can you share some other ones for men to actually like do better in the bedroom so we can please our partners?
Yeah. So I think these are ones that I've spoken to women about, and then other women are going, no, I like that. So when I say this, it's, you know, it's you take on board what works for you, and then other times you might go, no, that's all right. But so there's sort of general things. But one thing is focusing on too many different positions. Like, whoa, let's roll her over. Let's woohoo. Let's her on top, me on top. Oh, let's do doggy. Woo! So
That's too much.
It's too much. If it's very mechanical as well. So I think sometimes that's too much. Another thing, if they don't make any noise,
that's a bad day.
That's a bad, like, it's just like, I don't know what's going on. Where are you at in this? It's hard to read. So, and there are some men who just don't make any noise. Another thing is like, and this is really a bit of a topical one, but it's almost like checking in too much. And I know you want to be respectful, but how's this and this and how's this? And it's just like, and women are in their heads too much as it is. And then to be trying to answer your question and, and give you affirmation is like all a bit much. What else? Just being too rough.
Too rough. So
sometimes, obviously, sometimes, it's great and women love it, but it's just not always a thing about being fast and rough. And I think that both women and men learn as you have more experience, as you get older. And hopefully how you have sex when you're 20 is different to how you have sex when you're 40. But that's a just a bit of excitement. And then the other thing is finding your own way to last. So whatever that is for men do it differently. So and again, it's through experience. But I've seen guys do it differently. Like they've got their own little formula that they know if they do this certain thing, then they're going to last longer.
Think about baseball, fellas. Think about
baseball, or just stop for a minute. Like whatever it is, you'd probably be able to tell me more about that, Marcus.
No, I that was my next question, because what are some things four things women do wrong during sex?
Oh yes, okay. So women, I think one of the number one things is they're just too in their heads. And they are not, they're just like either not being, well, it's sort of associated with the next one, which is not being present in the moment. So you're too in your head, you're not being present in the moment, you're worried about your body or how it's being perceived. So then you only want to do it in the dark, or you don't want to do doggy because your tummy's gonna, whatever it is. I just think, that's a thing where younger guys have told me that's why they like older women, because they don't give a shit like whatever they're out there by that age. Ironically, and they've got more bumps and bits and whatever, but they're happier in their skin. So I think that's another thing that women don't do so well, is like get too worried about how they look. And but I remember some guys saying to me, like, even friends, like, if a woman is naked in front of them, like, they're not going, oh, like, one boob's a bit droopy.
Right.
That's not what they're thinking.
Right. Not at all.
And then the other thing that women don't do so well is say what they like and don't like. So even though I'm really confident person, I still, like, even if a guy asks me, what do you like? I'm like, oh, it's different with different people, and so it's sort of like not, and some women are really good at it, but a lot, I know from the women I've spoken to, just sort of aren't very good at saying what they want and what they like.
How should I have her fill out this census beforehand? Should I kind of look at, what's kind of lying on the coffee table? Like, okay, she got Zane magazines, and she got some Maxim magazines, and some BDSM, or what are some?
I know you said that tongue in cheek about the form, but I know it wasn't me, but I know a guy who was into BDSM and all that stuff, and they have forms. Do you want this? Do you want that? And like, there's like 100 questions.
Like 50 Shades of Grey style.
Yeah. And do you allow this and exactly and what and like you fill out all the form. So I've read the questions, but it wasn't me. It was my girlfriend, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's really was funny and interesting. So there is that extreme. But mostly what you can do as well is that's why sexting can be handy because you can, if she instigates it and you're both doing it together and it's good, then you can talk about the things that you want. And so therefore, and if she goes along with it and it's really working, then you've gone, oh, okay, this, again, really respectfully when you're in the moment, but you've got more of an insight into what's going to happen and what, she'll be into. And then also obviously asking the question.
Absolutely. When should toys be introduced in the bedroom, or should you kind of stay away from them and let the other person kind of introduce them themselves?
I think stuff like that is it's good to have a bit of a chat about it.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't want to be in the throngs of it and all of a sudden the person pulls out this massive dildo and you're like, oh, oh. So I think that they all play, have their place, but have a discussion about it because, some people don't like toys at all. Some people like certain things and not others, both males and females. So I think it's really something to have a discussion around.
Absolutely. For there are men who are short in the bedroom, right? They're shorter in the bedroom. They don't have the length or the girth to satisfy a woman. Should that man just not date at all? Should he just kind of give up? There's no hope, or seek surgery, or introduce toys more for that man that's on the fence.
Yeah. So if you think about it from my discussion before, my point that most women come from clitoral stimulation, well, you don't need a big member for that, do you?
No.
Like seriously. So use your fingers more, for instance. And then the other thing is I've had a few women tell me that that they like often make a really big effort, and they're actually often very good because they've had to make an effort and learn other ways. And then there's also positions. So, for instance, doggy style is more, you've got more opportunity to make an impact, shall we say, if you're not well endowed. The same as goes for the big guys. Like, sometimes you're just like, whoa, and you'd never do doggy with them because it just would hurt. So, it swings and roundabouts.
Is there such a thing as too big?
Yes.
Is there what?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah.
I think pornography has messed us all up.
Yeah.
I think pornography has really ruined us all into thinking it's all about girth, it's all about massiveness, and again, I think is what you're saying is whether it be porn, whether it be toys, whether it be anything, a conversation needs to be had. But
yeah, and I think it's just sad that I think there's a place for porn, sure, like that's fine, but it is really sad that it's so unrealistic and it's sending the wrong messages, and so so there's no real foreplay in porn. They're all big, it's just a bit sad because I've had women who've just gone to me like no, like they've said no because something's big, so
turned it down.
turned it down.
Absolutely shut it down. How long should bedroom intimacy last?
I think it's really individual, and sometimes a quickie in the middle of the day can do wonders, clear the mind or whatever. And then other times it's like my friend talks about, those times where you spend the weekend together and you're sort of hardly out of the bed. You just, it's just sex and eating. We've all got memories of those. For me, it's been a while, but anyway. So and if you say, like, I had a lover who was 22 minutes, and I'd do it in the middle of the day during work, and it worked out perfectly. And someone else would go, 22 minutes, that's not long enough. And I'm still like, yeah, well, it's great for me. That's what worked. So everyone is really different. And I think it's up to you to work that out. And again, for the guys, take the pressure off yourself. There isn't a magic number.
You're so right. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of variations. I remember hearing a lady and her partner is like, we do 2 hours minimum. And I'm like, 2 hours?
I know.
Who has 2 hours to lose in every given day? And like you described, during a weekend, if you have time like that, but 2 hours in a weekday, in the middle of the day, like that's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I just joke, like I go, oh, well, I just do it sometimes to keep my eye in. Yeah. And I hate it when people do it as like they're better because they do 2 hours. Like, who gives a shit? Like, everyone's different. We're, leading different lives. Some people have long-term partners. Some people it's, a quickie. Some people it's a weekend. Whatever it is, everyone's different. So I think that's a big message for men. Don't compare yourself to the internet, to porn, to your mate Rob. Like, just don't. Just do it. Just do it your way.
Absolutely, do it your way, fellas. I wanna double back and touch on the book that you wrote. What can readers expect? It's available now. Am I correct, Miss?
Yeah.
It's available now on Amazon. It's called How to Get Laid on Tinder for Men. What can readers expect when they get the copy of the book?
So I feel that sometimes women share a lot about what they don't want with men, or they give men a hard time. And I wanted to be really kind and practical, because I think guys are really practical, and give them, a bit of a formula and something to go on with, then they'll give it a go. So I have, stuff around sexting and a template. And I'm not saying use my template, but I think the teacher coming through is like, this is why this really worked. Because as he's sexting, he's complimenting her. Do you see that? Like, try that. I've got a whole lot of pictures of guys for profiles. Why does that work? Why does the picture of the guy with jocks and socks and a messy room with a bourbon can, why is that not going to attract a woman? Please don't put in a photo like that. But here's a photo that might work. I'm not bagging gym photos. If you're a gym rat and you go all the time, it's part of who you are, put a gym photo in. Just put other ones as well. So it's sort of the practical stuff. I've given a whole lot of opening lines. I've given some message templates, because another thing guys do is how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And it's really stilted. So if you ask a woman a question, how was CrossFit? Oh, it was great. I lifted, 60 kgs. Fantastic. You're really strong. I've just been for a run. Like, just, you comment on what she said, and then you add your own stuff. Like, all those sorts of little formulas that I think will work wonders for men.
Absolutely. Love it.
And Marcus, I've just got to say, on my TikTok, the most popular videos that went viral, I think it's up to 2.6 million, is blowjobs from a woman's perspective. Part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's a mixture of the communication stuff and then the sex stuff.
Absolutely. So it's a healthy balance. It's very well balanced. And how if you say how quick of a read of it, is it a couple of days? It'll take me a week to read through cover to cover, or
it won't take you very long. And I don't expect you to read it cover to cover either. You can dip in. It's really well sectioned off, so you can just choose the bits that work for you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. This is a phenomenal conversation. Miss Pound, are there any questions that I should have asked you? Any questions that you wanted me to ask, but I just didn't ask, that you really wanted to share with my audience today?
I want to say that men are wonderful, amazing, strong, capable, can do anything in this world, and put on the world for good. So if there's men listening who are doubting themselves, I just want you to know that you are an amazing person, and you might need to tweak some things in your dating life or in your communication, but anything is possible.
Love it. Love it. You heard it here, folks. You are necessary. Miss Maureen Pound said so. Man, Miss Pound, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing insight and wisdom. You are necessary. I really appreciate you. And I want to say this to you publicly. Thank you for what you do and never quit. We need you. We need what you're doing.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, because sometimes I'm like, oh, am I a bit much?
No, you are necessary. Thank you so much for what you do. Well, guys, we are out of time. We have to let this incredible woman go. She has many more lives to change, many more men to help, and many more relationships to save. And so, like we end every show, take care of your friends. And forgive me, how can people find you? How can people connect with you? How can people learn more about you, Miss Pound? The train has left the station, but it's not too late for people to jump on board. How can people find you?
Yeah. So it's howtogetlaidontinder.com. And so that's on all my socials, but it's also the website. So the website has links to purchasing the book, or you can, follow me on TikTok.
Follow her.
How to Get Laid on Tinder.
Find her, connect, y'all. She is absolutely phenomenal. I found her TikTok, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You guys, we gotta let this incredible woman go. Like we end every show, take care of your friends. And for all your listeners, howtogetlaidontinder.com. That's www.howtogetlaidontinder.com. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the super fragilist Espialidocious, Miss Maureen Pound, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.